Hey y'all, it's Dr. Phoenix and it is still Kinktober. So I am bringing to you all the kinks, fetishes, philias, and all things sex. Kinktober is all about this month-long celebration of open and healthy dialogue centered around kink, sex, sexuality, and again, just all the fun things sex and kink. So today we have a very specific fetish. And this fetish some of you may not have heard of, but it is an object fetish. And just a reminder, a fetish is something that you have a strong attraction to. It's generally like an inanimate object, usually something that's not sexualized. Like oftentimes when we think of fetishes, we hear of foot fetishes, or it's also known as objectophilia, and we know we hear that word philia in there. And philia is just a bit of a stronger attraction to something, oftentimes with psychological ramifications. And in this case, we're talking about objectophilia. So, what is objectophilia? It is a sexual attraction or emotional attachment to an inanimate object. And y'all, as I was thinking about objectophilia, I can remember this show I saw, and this lady was in love with a roller coaster. So, that was objectophilia because we know that inanimate objects cannot consent to anything, but that was her thing. She was in love with this inanimate object for whatever reasons. It did it for her. She would go to the amusement park, she would touch it, she would kiss it, she would do all the things with it. But obviously she had objectophilia. People with this fetish experience arousal or romantic feelings towards specific items, which could range from everyday things like shoes, cars, furniture, to more unusual things like buildings and machines. In some cases, they may personify the objects and make these objects like real life people, which attributes emotional characteristics to the thing and just makes it even closer to them. So that in turn, it deepens their sexual and emotional connection to the object. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. This fetish can manifest itself in different ways by simply being turned on by the item. You may like the sound of it, you may like the look of it. I know people who are really into cars and they think that they are sexy and sleek. And hey, I ain't yucking nobody's yum, you do what you want to do, but we've heard these things before. This fetish can manifest itself in different types of ways by simply being turned on or physically attracted to inanimate objects. We've all heard that person who was in love with a car and they just thought it was so sexy, or they would say the sound of that turned me on. That simple phrase is a type of objectophilia because you are personifying or sexualizing to a degree this particular object. May not say you want to have sex with it, which some people, hey, I'm not yucking people's yums. You may want to stick your stuff wherever it may go, or do some things with it, whatever. But that's a form of objectophilia. And some people have a very intense bond with these type of objects, and it becomes their primary source of love and desire. Which again, that is what kind of makes it a philia, because we're going into that range of like those psychological ramifications where it possibly can become unhealthy. While it can be a part of a healthy and consensual type sexual expression, it is definitely, it may lead to a diagnosis or some diagnoses, but that's where it becomes more of like the philia. So there's a very specific fetish that I want to talk to you about today, an object fetish that I want to tell you about, and it is agomatophilia. And this is exactly why I am dressed like Medusa, because it is a strong or very intense attraction to objects such as statues. This had more of a historical context in maybe like ancient Roman time, where people may have actually been in love with statues, and we've seen those statues around. Like, they have these very nice and chiseled features. Oftentimes they are nude, which can kind of come off as like erotic. So it made me just think that maybe Medusa was onto something, and maybe she had an object fetish, which was the reason she tried to turn all of her guys into stone. I can see where that would be beneficial in more than one way. So today was just like a brief little overview of object fetish, and like I said, specifically agomatophilia, which is the fetishization of statues or kinks or fetishes in an open and safe environment. We do have a very exclusive community here in Southern Louisiana. I encourage you to go on our website and click on the link and get vetted and kind of just get to know us, because I'm all about you having a safe space for your sexual and kinky proclivities to roam freely, because we all need that thing. To me, kink is cathartic, it is healthy, it is growing, it is all the things. So I would love for you to be a part of this community. And that is all on objectophilia. Later.
In the green and the tides of the sea, through the iris, the stone, leather snakes of her majesty.